So it's finally time to talk about side focus. Yes, I hate this ingredient, but I did promise I would make a build on it. So here we are, and I will show you the best optimal way to play it. However, I would not advise you to play it because I hate the idea of having like a cooldown on a damage ingredient. Like this is only a for fun ingredient if you want to see big like numbers on Surge every 30 seconds. And you might say, how is that bad? Well, if you didn't know, to fully stack a 20 stack surge, you only need 10 seconds if the boss doesn't move. But obviously, if the boss keeps moving, you would need more. So you could say an average 13 to 15 seconds depends on how good you are as a player. So the better the player, the faster their stacking would be. And obviously, the better the player, the more useless this engraving like becomes. This will only be effective for someone who is like new to the class or someone who has like slow stacking. But even with that, you might play it wrong. So I will explain how to play it right. So for like the gems, like ingredient, the ingredient setup is like this. Gems, tripods, and the runes. You can just check my normal business start search build that I made. You can copy everything from there. It's the same. What I will teach you here to do is macro and rotation and some few advices that I can give you. And personally, I did play side focus back in the day. I even still have a side focus build, but I only play it nowadays for fun or when someone is being naughty in the chat. Because if you didn't know, to activate the ingredient, you have to type uh, are these called exclamation marks? Let's just call them that. I'm not sure. So you have to type 5 exclamation marks in the chat and then it activates the ingredient, then you can search after it. And you can add any text before it. So I think you know where I'm going. So you can do anything and put 5 exclamation marks after it, and it will still activate the ingredient. So sometimes you'll find people putting some cringe stuff that is annoying. Yes, they are running site focus. And that's what I do to people who are naughty. I just put my site focus build on and my macro is even more insane. I will show you my macro later. It drives people insane. But now let me show you how to like do the macro correctly. So first, you would come to settings, you would come to community, macro text. Make sure this macro text is set to normal and put 5 exclamation marks on it so you can assign it to one button. And then after you do this, you go down and you would find macro text in hotkeys. You come here and you will see macro text 1. So you go back, you see which one you assigned. So here macro text 1, we wrote it in macro text 1. So that's what we will do. We would come back here, then assign a specific key. And you want to put this on a single key, not two keys, because the default is Alt plus 1. As you see here, these are all defaults, Alt plus 2, Alt plus 3. You have to put it on one key. So you're hitting only one key for your macro instead of two keys, which can delay your search. And there is something even better if you have a gaming mouse, which basically would use the macro of your gaming mouse. So here I'm going to use the example on a Logitech. So let's call this macro site focus. And you want to put no repeat. Then you would want to start with a delay. So make sure to choose delay. And then click the macro key, like the key that you assign the macro text to be on, which in my case is this key. And then the search button. For me, it's W. So this way, you would control the delay between the macro text and the search. And this is important because if you do it too fast, it might not register. And I know. And this is because the game is developed on a potato. It's not my fault. So the faster you are with your fingers, the harder you get punished for it in this game, apparently. Let's start by 500 ms. So we would put this macro text on our mouse and then I'm going to like attempt to search with side focus effect using the macro key. So this is good. So here we would reduce the delay a bit to a point where we kind of like it. So I will try 300 this time. Okay, so I kind of like this one. And now let me talk about the most important part about this whole video. Is the macro. So remember how I told you the macro text, it can be anything. You just need to put at the end of it five exclamation marks. This is what I do to people that are naughty in raids. I have this, look at this. This is like a long chant from an anime called Konosuba by like a sorceress called Megumin in the anime, and it's so damn long and it stays on the screen forever. And at the end, she says explosion because she is a source, obviously, but in my case, I swapped only the ending and put Excalibur instead. It's the most cringe, annoying thing you could do to someone. And let me show you this. This is beautiful. So this is my my site focus macro. Chrisman Black Blaze, King of Mariel Ward. I don't I can't even read this, but it's so annoying and it stays on the screen forever. If you play a raid with this, they might kick you. And it happened to me multiple times where I got kicked. At the start I was doing it for fun, but nowadays I don't like to get myself reported, so I only do it to people who are being annoying. And now let's talk about the rotation. So as you know, since you don't have any extra damage for your basic skills because you're only empowering surge damage. So other like surge players that are running like Curse Doll, Raid Captain, Kimblant, whatever they're running, they would have the advantage of getting damage on their basic skills. So what you would aim to do while playing Side Focus is using your skills at higher amount of stacks. You know how like other players that are running Business Slot can flex their rotation, they can start with whatever they want. They can do something like this and start with Soul Absorber. This would be bad for you because you would be getting lower and lower damage. So what I would advise you to do is a rotation where you cast both Soul Absorber and the Blade Rush at a high amount of stacks. I can give you an example. You can do something like this. You can do something like that where you use Blade Rush at like 16 stacks, 17 stacks. And by the way, this is not an obligation. It's just a small thing you can do to minimize the loss in damage of running side focus. So hopefully you learned how to properly be annoying as hell for your raid members or party members. And now see you in another one.